Here we are at it again, making another video, styling on all these ethnicities and stuff. Doing my usual, like, racist or non-racist, depending on your point of view. Like, it's more like, realistic retelling of events, if anything, at this point. And as usual, we have to talk about, like, I think it was something that I thought my parents' generation and the people who lived here had, but I'm starting to realize that the whole Napoleon complex, if you will, that some people have towards their own children is more universal than you realize. Like the idea that even though you've never been left with wanting, our grandparents' generation basically paved the way for our father's generations to be successful. Now, I'm just speaking from my own personal point of view. Obviously, like there's going to be some discrepancies. There's going to be some disagreements. Some cases where that is not the case, but I also see it as like one of the most spoiled generations to have ever existed. Like lacking in intelligence, lacking in like capability for the future, like droning on about like what it is that they want, that they need, and they're just holding on for another sliver of a day of survival and stuff. When we all have to bear witness to the eternal rot and decay of these, basically decrepit old people. Like I think this is going to be like a time of reckoning where I'm not I'm not trying to speak for anybody else, but like and I'm not trying to say this is my own personal point of view, but like I'm beginning to see that maybe this is like one of those things where the younger generations don't necessarily care about the older generations to the point where like the idea of respect and the mutual like benefit or whatever existence is out the window because at a whim these are the kinds of people that can be convinced about anything about the environment is global warming, right? And then Bill Gates himself, one of the richest people in the world, and you could argue like why he's coming out and saying, oh, there is no such thing as global warming, it was all just cooked up, it was all hyped up to basically make you pay more for regulations, make you fearmonger, make you this, make you that, right? And he made like I don't know, an interview or a tweet or a post. I forget what it is. And he's just talking about it. And we're now dealing with the ramifications of like, this multicultural experiment that we're all beginning to see is nobody's fault but these corporations who want to make a lot of money. And these corporations that have made a lot of money are the enemy of not just the people like locally, but of the entire human race because they didn't just like cause these people to flood over here and like be inconvenienced and ruin the lives of certain people, like take the lives of people, car accidents, sexual assaults, murders, etc., right? But they also created like a hell on earth for the places of origin where these people come from because they're also desperate to follow in the example of these people that they're willing to derelict their own nation. So the idea that you have to be understanding and forthcoming of other people and their religions and their places of origin, like don't, because they don't either. In fact, they go as far as to condemn their own to like a literal unending hell of no progress, of depletion of the workforce, of young people, the population. As well, to be fair, some places like I'm guessing that's like their pressure release valve. I'm guessing like India, Pakistan, Punjab, like they want these people out of their country because they're just going to cause more crimes. They're just going to pollute more. So they have to get rid of them like the human refuse that they are, unfortunately. But that's how they're seen. That's how they are. That's how they're. It's like you go out of your way to say, when are you gonna get married? When am I gonna see your kids? This and that. But like, you don't actually think about the ramifications of pushing people into this unending, like, traumatizing cycle of birth, death, rebirth, reincarnation, or like whatever you believe, right? And to subject your own kids to that kind of madness while being ill prepared for it yourself is like very indicative, because when you see these guys, right? And I gotta like bring up the whole incel TV Hamza shit again because it's funny, but also because it's like, it's so weird and surreal how fast it happened. Because I thought it was like a while ago that people found out about like this Hamza thing. Because I'm not saying I don't care either way, but I find it pointless to drag out. Because I mean, yeah, he hops on gear. He's on gear. He's on TRT or test, or basically androgynous steroids, and is like test level according to his friend. And I got the story wrong, but according to his friend, right? I think it's like something like 7 to 1,500, so it's quite high, like abnormally high. Like it's basically at synthetic level. Like you're taking like something outside of your body to boost your testosterone. There's no I boosted my testosterone the natural way, and then he shows you like this banana. I made my dick bigger as well. What you fucking inject it into your fucking thing? Does that work? I want some steroids. Talk about my insecurities right here. Yo, man, how did he know this whole time he had the banana and it's just like shit? He's reading me like a fucking book, man. He know. Yo, that is like, okay, you know how like I'm talking about like parents and their contempt for their kids and shit? That's like, yo, I'm taking your money and I think you have a small dick. Because you're letting me take your money, so I can assume that you have a small dick now. I saw that video, I was just like, what the fuck, dude? But I find that like it's funny because you get this guy, right, and he's charging. Oh my god, I think at one point Rehab Room was showing this like thing. I don't know if it was him in specificity, but it's like $25,000. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, holy shit, these people make so much money, and for what? For being a fucking douchebag and shit, like lying to people purposely on in their face. And like, as much as I hate to say this, I have to say it. And like, basically, this isn't anything new. This has been going on for like decades now. I'm guessing like 3, 4, 5 decades now, if not longer. Oh, just like men in the fitness industry, and then they like gain a physique, and then other men who are infatuated with them. Let's be fair, right? Embellish their activities, their plans, whatever, right? Like the whole video where he's talking about Hamza dating down and shit, right? Like, I haven't really thought about it at the point, because I was just like, kind of clowning on him and shit, because I'm like, oh, he's gay, this and that. But then as I gave it more thought, what happens, right, if you're on the losing side? You feel me? And every single thing you do, like victory wise, you do vicariously through somebody else. So for some people, it's sports fans. I mean, sorry, they're sports fans, so they do it through the sports players, their team, their favorite team player, soccer player. Some people do it through the UFC. Some people do it through like movies and shit. It's very, very common and normal shit. Anime for like the younger crowd, kids and shit. It's like whatever, right? So, and that was the case with this guy. And then, like, when his friend exposed them, and this is the part that I missed out, so I have to be clear on this. Like, so, I'm coming to this story as like an outsider, right? I'm 40 years old. I can care less about the goings on, but I do hear that in the United Kingdom, it is something like over 50% of the men are on gear, or so they say. Now, going back to Hamza and his friend, right? Um, Hamza was recording this call with this guy, and like at first I would think of that as being, it's common. He's a streamer and this and that. But then I'm like, wait a minute, this is like your main guy. Like you see him in videos with you like when you're younger and stuff, and you're like starting off your I'm guessing YouTube slash internet career. I think he's primarily like a self-help coach. So he has his own like website or whatever. He does it through Twitter or Instagram or some other way means, right? Outside of YouTube. Although I think he does have a YouTube presence. Um I think I could subscribe to his channel. Let me see. Because I think I think his channel, yeah, okay, so yeah, he has a YouTube channel. He has like millions, but he's like, so he's crying basically in his response video because he got found out about his androgynous steroid usage, etc., etc., and plus his dishonesty, his recording of his closest friend or video editor slash business associate. And I'm not going to get into that. That's none of my business. It's personal. It's between these two individuals, right? But I've seen this firsthand, right? Not Hamza in specificity personally. No, but I've seen the whole bravado, and then like the tears that come afterwards, like the gravity, if you will, right? The gravity of the situation. It's like how the saying goes. It's like when the gravity of the situation sets in, as they say, like people will gain, greater understanding, right? So the whole tear aspect of Hamza's video, and honestly, I do not know if Rehab Room actually watched his newest response video because I think it's actually fairly new, and I was kind of like mocking him because I'm like thinking like he knows about it, he's just ignoring it and like just talking about Hamza's like, Hamza's ripped and he's 6 foot and he's this. He's like, yo, shut the fuck up, man. Dude, change your name from Rehab Room to Closet Room. That's what I'm gonna call him from now on. Is Closet Room. In the Closet Room. So like, as Hamza's breaking down, like crying and talking about like losing his subscribers and like his whole life is uprooted, ruined, the melodrama. I swear to God, dude, like think about it like this. From my point of view, okay, one of the reasons why I get to talk shit like this is because if that winds up happening to me, right, like if the lion's share of the money that goes into making video games, right, goes technically into advertising, and I basically it's a bust for me. Like I shouldn't have even gone into the business of doing that. Then you can argue, then well, okay, fine, it's not as easy as it looks or this or that. You shouldn't be like criticizing somebody for trying even though he's doing it in a dishonest like manner. He's like he has his friend helping him, this and that. But I bring it up just because it was much like Hassan, like the expectation that people were going to treat you one way persistently, and when the contrary to that happens, like the worldview that you've had up until that point has been shattered, and you're just like coming to terms with it. Like you have to basically go back to who you once were before you were pretending to be someone you were not, and you never were that person, right? Like Hassan never was that like likable person. Like the thing with Hassan, I think that like he gets wrong the hardest is the fact that he wants people to believe that he's a likable person, and then he has a bunch of genuine friends, and he is humble and like down to earth. I think the funniest is like you say he was like he was poor, he grew up with nothing, and then you see this picture of him and he's like all chubby and he's like riding a horse like a jockey. It looks like such a fucking Oh my god, dude! Like, what the fuck do I? Like, why did he do this? Like, I'm guessing like he's probably one of those crazy ass like stand-up comedians that like you've probably nah, there's no way, man. Because like a stand-up comedian would I at least have like a punchline or like whatever. This guy is like comic relief without the relief. Like you're always on edge with this guy, and he's comical in the sense that he's like that particularly inbred and stupid, but it's also like it's kind of psychotic. You don't know if he's like being serious or not, right? So it's like the comedy. It's kind of like Sam Hyde if Sam Hyde was written by a fucking idiot. It's like, fuck. Sam Hyde like type comedy written by like it was just funny because that's probably why Candyman hates him so much. It's just like, yo, dog, like you're taking my character and running him into the fucking ground, you idiot. At least do something like fucking showmanship, man. Like, yo, where's the punchline? I'm gonna punch you in the ring. That's my punchline. Oh man, what the fuck am I even talking about now? But so around the world, we have these peoples of these religions, Islam, Sikhism, that are basically causing worldwide distress because it's like they're trying to sum every single immigrant group up with their like category and stuff. We're like we're all the same, and it's just like when you see what's happening in Nigeria and like their own Islamic president just like smiling and covering it up and just like doing like the whole "oh it's okay" type shit. 67 plus thousand people have like been genocided out of Nigeria. Just like I don't know how long this conflict has been going on, but that's like just such a fucking high number that again, even though it's a drop in the bucket to the world's population, to just have them die for no other reason than not being Muslim, being Christian, being just whatever, non-Muslim, right? That's the sticking point. And then like in response you have the train attacks. In response you have like plotted terrorist attacks. And again, like as much, and I do think he deserves the praise. Kash Patel does deserve the praise, but as much as you give Kash Patel the praise for this, him like stopping like the terrorist attack in Minnesota, there are more than likely terrorist attacks that were plotted all around the world that we're probably never going to hear about. And yeah, going forward, we have to like really heavily consider like what a terrorist is, like not from ideology and religion, but what they are as human beings in this world that we're all forced to live in with them and stuff, right? So the reason why they took the title of cheap job, of cheap labor, is because it was asked of them, right? It was asked, hey, do you guys want to work here? The work is, good. It doesn't pay well, but you can maybe get citizenship in another country, this and that, right? And yeah, with that kind of like promise, if people agree to it, then it's more of the same. Like it's not anything different from like a lot of other immigrant groups coming in to any country would like receive and stuff. But I think the main difference, happened when these people were being exploited primarily by their own people, and the bitterness that they have, like these terrorists, these grooming gangs, like the grooming gang, right, will never be fully named because of all how many Sikhs were involved, how many Pakistanis were involved, and how common it is to not only see these like people like persecuted for these crimes, but how their entire family and overall communities, were complicit or fell silent or just were, intimidated out of actually doing something to help these young women, right? Who, let's be fair, like they probably thought that it was cool that this older guy was gonna be dating them, and they're gonna be able to, ooh, oh, I get to smoke cigarettes and I get to drink alcohol and drive in his car and all these cool things, and these young boys, they can't, they get to look at me and be jealous and shit. And then, lo and behold, they have to, like, do sexual acts for their entire family. The race is just like that. And you have to point it out constantly. Never shut up about it. Never keep quiet.